Hey all, in order to fulfill this assignment, I've decided to step away from my computer and to make my whole floor a a dialogue design. So let me first go to step one. We'll zoom in a little bit. As you can see already here, like this presentation is a bit done in interaction and is therefore a bit playful. Um, so the three conversations I used to describe dialogue patterns. Um, I have done it with the same topic, as at least in my head, which was kind of the future of the world and how people look at this future. And you know, as you can see, a lot of people look at it differently, and there are a lot of paradigms. Um, so for my first conversation, um, there were different opinions, different worldviews, and at the same time, little listening and little inquiry, and there was no open atmosphere, and no real intentions to understand each other. Therefore, the feelings I had were that I felt misunderstood, unfulfilled, angry, alone, and yeah, kind of unconnected. For the second conversation, um, there were different opinions as well, different worldviews, but at the same time, a very open atmosphere. So even if we were tackling something big, we still felt like there was this allowance for difference and an intention to understand the difference and where the other opinion was coming from. So there was the space to be who I and the other person want to be. And that gave me a feeling of understanding on an emotional level, and that there was a connection and a feeling of togetherness. So for the last conversation, um, there were more similar opinions, and there was an open atmosphere and an intention to understand the similarities and the differences. At the same time, there was real listening, and with an open mind and open questions. So there was an understanding and a connection on emotional and on content level. Um, so for both of these last conversations, I put a little heart above, which kind of means for me that there wasn't, an understanding and this togetherness that was felt, which you see that then can happen, even if you have very different opinions. So that was something nice to find out. Um, Going to the analysis part in the conversations I had, but also through some of the assignments, I really noticed that a few top blockers for me were that if I had the feeling that the listener was not listening, that I was being attacked or framed, and that a very different one that I was right and the other person wasn't. And for me, all of these in the end had to do with this kind of feeling that was also described by Otto Scharmer, this idea of staying in your own bubble and not really trying to connect with the other person. And then later, through two of his different theories, he describes it that you can listen with this open will, or go from the ego system to the ecosystem. And therefore here I also made the circle with open spaces in between to kind of show that there's a much more open way of understanding each other, and kind of to create that connection. So for me also the two people here are within the same circle, and therefore I would like to have as a goal in the conversations I have to feel understood and connected to create an open space where I can be who I want and the other person can be who he or she wants, and at the same time look at each other's needs and feelings. Then coming to also the action plan I have. So yeah, this was a little picture for the action plan. So I to reach this, I want to enlarge focus on inquiry by 2 specific points to indeed create this atmosphere of this possibility that everything is okay and every person can be. Therefore, the first thing I want to reach is ask more open questions. So not to be like, oh, how was this, but like, what was it like, to really open up the atmosphere of the different possibilities, and at the same time look at non-violent communication. So to look at if somebody's saying something, to what feelings and needs is this connected. Then my smart way of doing this is specifically I want to increase my open-mindedness in the future conversations I have, so that the other person and I feel more comfortable in the conversation. I make it measurable by 2 different points. First, at least at the start of each conversation, I want to start with an open question. And then when I'm asking further, I want to look at what is behind and why that is behind. So what feelings are behind that, what needs does a person have, and what kind of maybe even worldview is attached to that. The A for achievable. I think this is an achievable goal, since I'm very often already aware of, maybe also because of this course, but also in general, I'm very much focused upon how are the people surrounding me feeling and how am I feeling myself. Why I think it's relevant is because I think it's important for myself to feel understood, and because I feel like that's very important for me, I also want to keep working on creating this space for others. Time bound. Maybe something I say is maybe it's a lifelong learning process how to dialogue, but like to at least practice this in the following month. Then the step 4 is the design. I kind of put together a lot of things I've been already saying. So the first was focus on feelings of the other and of my own feelings. So in that sense, because I think my own needs and feelings and the one of the other person are important, and there should be will to understand, which is also for me linked to that. I can show an integrity of who I am, and I'm allowed to be the person I want to be in a conversation, and therefore it's for me not only about the inquiry part and being this loving person in that, but also if I really feel like I have a point, then it's also I can still oppose and advocate in that sense. At the same time, in some recent conversations I had, I noticed how important suspension can be. To have quiet moments and to wait before reacting. For me, there the listening part becomes very important.
because it allows the other person to deepen. And yeah, this is something I has had last in my action plan, but it for me also links to having this open atmosphere, and then related to I mean how I want to do these conversations in the future. I want to come back to my action plan of the measurability of the open questions and the nonviolent communication. Well, what will then my intention be? To always create a certain open atmosphere, and to not be beforehand like, oh, this person has already that opinion and I have my opinion, and kind of look too much at these differences, because in the end then you go nowhere. And meeting my own challenge is then also to go away from these differences and that I am right, but really trying to understand, because I feel like this understanding is really important. And in that, taking care of who I am, yeah,